Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at creating really simple backgrounds and a quick and easy collage image. So this is very much a use it up page in my journal. It had lots of paint layered around. It must have been really cold that night. I'm wearing my hoodie. And I'm just going in with my fingers and mixing some colours together. So I started off with some apricot and then I'm going in with sky. And I've got some of that pink peeking through from the background, which I really love. And I did know that when I did this page, I wanted to have some of the background peeping through. So I'm now going in with my palette knife and adding some white and mixing that through as well. I don't necessarily want to mix the colours. I want to have the white kind of sitting on top so I can scratch through and see the colours below. So everything on this page is really wet. I haven't dried anything off. I'm drawing into the wet paint as well. And this gives you really cool textures and effects in the background. So if you haven't tried drawing into wet paint, I really encourage you to do it. This is going in now with my Stabilo Woody pencil, again into wet paint, so you can actually see in the close-up the texture of where it's moved the paint away. And because it's a water-soluble pencil going into not wet, but wet paint, it helps it bleed and it helps it move across the page really, really easily. Now I've dried it off a little bit because I've got the texture there that I wanted. I'm just going in and boosting the colour somewhat with the drawing over the top and then blending it with my finger so I get this sort of smudgy effect in the background. So it really is, it's super, super simple. And going in with a little bit of yellow and adding that in too. So just a little bit of mark making. It's very restrained for me really in the grand scheme of things, but I just really like how it turned out. I then decided I was going to do some writing in the background as well. So I've just got a grey lead pencil. I'm just scribbling into the background with that. So this is going to give me a much lighter effect. Some places where the paint was a little bit thicker and it was still a little bit wet, I was scraping some of the paint away, but all in all it was pretty much just writing straight over the paint. So I've got my two magazine images that I'd cut out previously for another job and they were just sitting on my desk, so I decided I was going to use those. So I've got quite a small body and a much bigger head. So when I play with magazine collage, I like to play with proportions a lot. So I'll quite often, have a small body and a big head, or a big head and, huge eyes over the top, whatever it is. I wanted to blend the image into the page a little bit more, so I'm colouring over the top of the purple with the blue. Because it's a water-soluble sort of creamy crayon going over the top of magazine, it's not adhering as well as you'd probably like it to, but it gives this really cool effect. So I wasn't too upset by it. I was finding, and you'll sort of see this in the close-up, that it kind of shifted some of the colour as I'm moving away. So you've kind of got some blue and then you've got some of that purple peeking through from below as well, which gives an interesting effect. I did go around with Stabilo Oil Pencil and now I'm just creating a bit of a shadow around my image and just using my paintbrush to sort of wet that and to draw it out from the background somewhat. I usually have a paper towel or something in my hand when I'm doing that, just in case I get a little bit out of control and put too much water on or it spills somewhere I don't want it to go. So it's just a good way of ensuring that you keep everything where you want it to. Once I've got the face put on, then I'm going to go in again with my Stabilo Oil Pencil and add in some detail and draw around the edges. Now usually when I've done magazine collages in the past, you see me get my paint pens out, but because this is very painty and used a lot of pencil on it, I wanted to continue with that. I didn't want to necessarily put a really harsh paint pen over the top because it would stand out too much from the background. So I did want it to blend a little bit more than I usually would on the page. Again, I'm just going in with a wet brush and dissolving some of those lines, so it sort of gives this shadowed effect in the background. When I've done that, now I'm going in and colouring her bows, just again using a wet paintbrush straight onto my woody pencil and getting the colour straight off it. So getting those nice red cheeks, red bows, will contrast with the red in the background. Also decided to wet the clothing. I can't get my words out today, but I wasn't necessarily a fan of that, so I went back in with the blue and actually smudged it together, which held it together a little bit more. So that's a good thing about doing, you know, have a go. If it messes up, just wipe it off and do it again. It's not going to hurt anyone, it's just paper. It might give you a nice effect that you weren't expecting, so experiment, it's always good. Now I'm just going in and fixing up the eyes, putting in the catch-alls and a little bit of detail. And then I'm trying to find a quote to put on the page because I didn't want to add much more to it. Usually I'd go nuts and add a huge big quote like I did on the left-hand side, but I just wanted something small in that small space down the bottom to fill it up, because I really liked everything else on the page. It really stood out and it was just what I wanted to have. And as you can see, it takes longer to get the quote than it does to actually finish the page, and sometimes. So once I found it, I'm going in again with my Stabilo Woody, not my Stabilo Oil Pencil, sorry. And I've just got You Don't Know Me at All. And I've taken to sort of colouring in some of the circular bits of my letters, just to give a different weighting to my letters, and I really liked how that turned up. I did decide to put a little bit of white around the edges just to push them out from the background somewhat. You just need to be careful doing this, particularly when you're using a Stabilo Oil Pencil, because obviously the white is going to be wet touching the water activated pencil, so you might get your pen looking a little bit grey by the end of it. Just wipe it off with a paper towel and it should come back to normal. So once I've done that, quick heat set. Just be aware too that if you heat set it, it is going to remelt the crayon, so don't close your book immediately after you do that. So here you can see all the detail. You can see the scraping into the paint and the texture you get from that, and then sort of the overall effect at the end. So super, super simple, lots and lots of fun, using some different media together, and just have a go. Until next time, bye for now.